The success of international marine conservation will depend to a huge degree on the extent to which marine conservation objectives are embedded within broader marine management frameworks, for example through the use of tools such as marine spatial planning, which bring together users of the many different functions of the marine environment and agree collectively together on the future of sustainable management of the marine environment. But the marine environment also must be managed in the context of its relationship with land, the importance of reducing marine pollution from land-based sources, for example of nutrient runoff, of wastewater from coming down the rivers, and of plastics, an important growing problem in the marine environment. And whereas marine protected areas used to be thought of as sanctuaries for tourists in the past, increasingly we're seeing the role of marine protected areas being recognised as important tools to buffer against the effects of climate change, to reduce the risks of natural disasters, and to underpin food security. And we need to recognise the importance of marine protected areas in underpinning the future of the green economy, a sustainable economy of the future, in providing business opportunities for green good jobs and low carbon emissions. And finally, we have to recognise the threats to marine conservation areas, coming from multiple sources, the challenges faced by global warming, acidification, the spread of invasive alien species, and pollution, much of which is from land-based sources. It is only in addressing these threats that we can really secure the future of international marine conservation. Spain has made considerable progress in the conservation of marine areas, including now with around 8% of national waters protected under some form of protection designation. This is very close to the 10% target envisaged by the Aichi Target 11 for marine water protection. The Foundation of Biodiversity has also made significant progress within that, with support from the European Union, with now around 70,000 square kilometres of protected sites around the Spanish coastline. In addition, management plans for all of these areas will be in place by 2016, which is a pioneering approach from Spain within the European Union and internationally on ensuring that such designated protected areas are also effectively managed. The process by which marine protected areas are designated in Spain is also incredibly robust, with the involvement of many different stakeholders from scientific, civil society and industrial processes involved in the decision-making process. And yet, like many other countries, Spain also faces challenges. There are challenges in particular in relation to the management of transboundary protected areas, and particularly those that also relate to those areas in areas beyond national jurisdiction. In addition, challenges are often faced in the implementation of weak governance of the international marine environment and the implications of that for protected areas at the national level. Spain is not unique in these challenges, but certainly has the opportunity to show leadership in addressing some of these problems internationally. There are many best practices to draw on in Spain, in Europe and internationally that can help support the future of marine protected areas and marine conservation planning in Spain. Particularly important amongst these, I would suggest, are the integrated approaches to marine conservation, bringing together sectors, moving beyond the siloed approach to marine management to ensure the conservation, the planning, the designation of protected areas and the future management of protected and other areas meets the needs of multiple users of the marine environment. We also need to ensure that marine protected areas are not isolated. They are part of a broader network of protected areas and other connectivity measures to ensure that marine protected areas can be resilient to future changes to the marine environment. We have to recognise the importance of upscaling, and there are a number of examples of successful upscaling of conservation management activities in the marine environment. For example, last week here in Nairobi, 18 countries from the West Africa region came together to look at how the fisheries sector and environmental sector in West Africa can better work together under the auspices of the Regional Seas Programme and with other stakeholders. There are many such examples around the world where different sectors coming together can plan for a more sustainable future based on co-management of the marine environment with local communities. We also have to address the multiple threats to the marine environment to secure the future of conservation in the marine environment underpinning conservation and development objectives. There are many best practices being discussed this week in Sydney. Indeed, the Promise of Sydney will contain many examples and build on the many examples being discussed here during the World Parks Congress. If we are to have a future for marine environment, for the conservation of the marine environment and its objectives for development and support to local livelihoods, then we must make sure we keep the Promise of Sydney. Good luck in your discussions this week.